Are you? Oof. Like this? Is it good? Yes. Okay, because we're gonna do my November wrap up, and for once I have read books. I mean, many books. So I'm proud of myself. What's up? I hope you're good. So today we're here for my very late November wrap up. For once it was a good month and I have read many books, and for once I don't feel my wrap up. I don't know how come, but here it is, late, but better late than never, right? I feel like you see me wearing black all the time, so it looks like the same outfit, but it is not, but whatever. So for some stats, in November I have read 16 books, which represent a total of 4,367 pages, which is a lot. I have not DNF'd any books, and all the books were in English. Oh, many 5 stars actually. So we have 6 5 stars, 5 4 stars, and 5 3 stars. I had an amazing month, Rolls. That's crazy. I had an amazing month. I'm so happy. Okay, let's go through them. You know what? I was going to go with all the books that I have read, like by chronological order, but let's start with all the 3 stars and 4 stars and 5 stars. Okay, so the first one is actually Unkindness of Ghost by River Solomon. I have not enjoyed that one as much as I thought I would. Actually that's a lie, I really enjoyed it. Basically you have, I don't know how many people on a spaceship, and there are like 20,000 dogs, whatever, so they all live like some kind of different life with different culture, etc., which makes sense because the spaceship is actually huge. But they are there in order to or find a new place or wait for Earth to be viable again, etc., etc., and there is some kind of like dystopia because you have different class of people, different rights. But what I loved about this book is the representation of non-binary characters, but also like queer in general, but also maybe on the spectrum of autism or just being like neuroatypical, etc., etc., you know, different. And I really love that aspect of the book, but I feel like I did not grasp more because I couldn't be really in the story. I felt like I was just on the surface of it, and so many things did not make sense to me. But I really love the representation, and I love the fact that it was a sci-fi and that we talked about important topic, but it wasn't enough for me. So yeah. Then we have Oasis by Katia de Becerra, which is a sci-fi slash fantasy-esque a little bit. So basically you have kids leaving Australia behind because one of the main characters' dad is actually an archaeologist, and he's now in Dubai, I believe. So they're going there, so she's going there with a group of friends in order to help him and see how it goes, etc., etc. And something happens because there is like a sand storm or whatever, and things get insane. It is a bit what the heck, a bit like alien-ish, sci-fi-ish, you know, something you cannot really understand, but that's there. So I enjoyed it. I gave it 3 stars, but the ending was way too rushed for me and did not make sense as much as the rest. Even if it was what the heck the rest of the time, it still made more sense than this ending. So that's why 3 stars, but I really enjoyed the writing side, so I might pick up something else by that author. They Threw Us Away. So that name sounded familiar, but actually that author wrote, or actually co-wrote, Shape of Water, The Shape of Water, which is a beautiful book. I would highly recommend it. I really loved it, with Del Toro and Daniel Kraus. This one was a middle grade that was like, it doesn't feel like middle grade-ish. Like I felt like the topics that were talked about here, because basically you have toys being thrown away kind of thing, and they want to go back to the store, so they have to go through shit or whatever, but lots of warnings, like lots of trigger warnings should be included in this book. Self-harm, suicide, neglected, whatever. So I feel like it was not really middle grade-ish, but when I go on Goodreads, people are like, oh yeah, that's amazing, my kid loved it, oh, I'm gonna recommend it to my kid, or whatever, I'm gonna buy it for my kid, whatever, because I read it and loved it. All kids are different, like YA, you can read YA when you're still a kid, or you can read adult when you're still YA, whatever, you know what I mean? It's just there to help you navigate you know, the books and the categories or whatever in order for you to pick a book and to know if it's right for you or not. I'm really curious enough to actually continue with the series. So I might pick up the sequel sooner than later, but it was a bit like, is it really for kids? I'm not sure. It was a bit gore-ish for kids, in my opinion. But thinking about it, I would have loved it as a kid because I was into horror when I was like 4 or 5 years old. So yeah, it depends. Then we have this one, which is a book by Shannon Maguire under another name or whatever. I feel like this one, I'm missing on this one because like the first one I gave it 3 stars and this one is also a 3 stars. I think it is beautiful for adults. I don't think it is a real middle grade. And as Rose said, it goes with Middlegame. So I feel like if you read it with Middlegame in mind, you will enjoy it more than as separated from Middlegame. So I enjoyed this one a bit more going into it because I knew how I felt about the first one. But it is also like some kind of portal fantasy but for kids. And if you want, in the first book, so Over the Wood War Wall, you have some chapters of that book included in Middlegame in between chapters, which it actually made sense. And when you read about the story afterward, it's just like, it's beautiful. I love it. The writing style is gorgeous. Everything that's happening is gorgeous. I feel just that I did not feel enough and did not care enough, but still very beautiful. I would recommend it. It's Shannon Maguire, but please read Every Heart a Doorway first and Middlegame first. Then the last one is this one, but this one might be like a 3 stars, but maybe more of a 2 stars, 2.5 stars, because I really did not get that book. I was not intrigued. I just didn't care. The writing style was not for me. I almost DNF'd it. I was bored. I know many people actually enjoyed it, and I really enjoyed the fact that it was including Hungarian mythology with Jewish history, because you had representation and you know how you want to kill certain people because they're from a certain place. And you know, I love the fact that also magic here wasn't like just for one certain type of people, one like nation or whatever. It was like different for everyone. I really love that, but I still don't get things like the wolf. I don't get things like the wolf in here. Why the wolf and the woodsman? I mean, I get it, but if you want a book with wolves, don't read that one. Like, don't read that one. That barely has to do with wolves. But it was interesting. I just didn't care enough. I was bored. But basically, in the first chapters, you're gonna read about the main character who's gonna get like sacrificed in some way because she doesn't have any power. So she's not well perceived by her village or whatever. So they're gonna give her to another village, to the king, and they're gonna lie about her having some abilities because the king is looking for abilities, etc, etc, for a weird reason. That was disgusting, but at the same time I loved it. But wait, but yeah, let's move on to the 4 stars. First we have this one, Saving Megan. So this one could have been a 5 stars. It was almost a 5 stars, but some parts made me feel uncomfortable and scared, and I had to like slow down a little bit for my own mental health or whatever. But basically you have the story of Megan, who is apparently sick. We don't know what's happening, but her mom is like, yes, she's sick, you have to find a cure, you have to help her. But at the end of the day, is she really sick, or is her mom making that up in order to keep her daughter to herself, which is actually a well-known condition. It says here that it is called Munchausen syndrome by proxy, a rare behavioral disorder where the primary caretaker seeks medical help for the child's health problem, conditions the adult has actually made up or caused. And I was like, what? That was intense. I would not recommend it to everyone, but it was really interesting reading it. The writing style was top-notch. I really did enjoy it. It was hard. It was a hard book to actually grasp. It was a hard book. I needed breaks in between chapters, and also I was listening to the audiobook, which maybe added to the atmosphere or something, you know, to the ambience or whatever. But it is beautiful. If you want to read about that and the struggle of being a parent and a sick child, etc, etc, go for it. Then we have A Whisper of Wolves, which I have read for Winter-autumn, I believe. I really enjoyed it. It has wolves, it is a middle grade, it is so cute. So this is basically the story of whisperers who have a relation a very strong bond with nature, but also a bond with an animal. Here the main character has a bond with a wolf. The people are kind of scared of them, even though they need them for certain things. So she lives a bit far from the village because people don't want to be surrounded by whisperers or whatever. But also what I loved about it is that we got a glimpse of other whisperers that are not from there, and we will read about them in the next books in the series, because I believe it has 4 books so far, and it was just beautiful because she has to save the people there from the village, and they have to learn how to trust her even though she's different, but she's not different by choice. So loved it. Then I have read Annihilation. I gave it 4 stars, almost 5 stars. I loved it. It was so weird, and apparently it is a cosmic horror kind of book, because what's happening in there has no real explanation, and it's like, it's horror because it's weird and doesn't have an answer, but at the same time it's not really horror because it's not like gore-ish or whatever, but it is horror in the weird way, and cosmic because it's actually a sci-fi. It's coming from somewhere we don't know, so it was really interesting. Basically you have area X or area 10, I don't know if it's X or 10, whatever, and they actually send people in that area to study, you know, the biome, etc., how everything is working, how everything is like evolving or whatever. But apparently the nature there, the biome, the everything there has an impact on everyone, and weird shit is gonna happen there, and they're gonna see weird shit. And I really love the sci-fi aspect of it, the horror-ish aspect of it, but a bit like paranormal, but it's not paranormal. It was just, what the heck. I really loved it. I love that book. I really did love that book, but I did not understand it. Like the ending, I'm like, but I loved it. Is that weird to say? I love the book that I did not understand. It just worked. I cannot wait to continue with the series. Then we have this one, At the Gates, another stories, like a bundle of beautiful little stories. Some stories were like boring, but some were really intense. Some were interesting, some were lovely, some were cute, some were like, I don't care. So I give it 4 stars because it is really hard to actually read short stories, but I feel like 4 stars, it definitely deserves that. So yeah. Then we have Gods of Men. I'm still not sure if it's more of a 4 stars or 3 stars, so let's go for 4 stars because it's quite unique, and the world building here is quite different and also unique. I'm gonna repeat unique so many times, but it's different from what I have read. It is high fantasy because the world is completely different to ours. I really enjoyed that aspect, and I would say that this is a perfect book for you to go into without knowing anything about it. So I'm gonna stop. And necromancy, that's it. Let's move on to the 5 stars. The first 2 were volume 1 and volume 2 of Lock and Key. Do I need to talk about it? I love the show, so I wanted to pick up all the graphic novels. A house with magical keys giving abilities to the owners, so I'm here for it. I just loved it. Then we have book 1 and 2 in the Murderbot Diary, so All Systems Red and Artificial Conditions. These books, I'm actually reading them for my patrons, so for the snowstorms, I'm filming like special vlogs for each book, but then after I will film like a review of the entire series and everything. But spoiler alert, 5 stars so far for all of them. I just love Murderbot, sci-fi. It's like short novellas, it's just amazing. I love everything about them, and it's the same for the Wayward Children series. I can't believe how much you have in them, but they're so short, but you get so much out from them. So I'm like, I would highly recommend them, but wait for my review because I'm gonna say so much more there. But also thank you to Snowstorm, so my winter pack on Patreon, for making me read that series. It's 6 books long, so I still have 4 more books to go, so 4 more like reading vlogs for them, only, I mean, exclusive to the snowstorms. But yeah. Then obviously another book that I have read during a winter-autumn that I will continue reading for like a buddy, chill buddy read, whatever. It is Winter House. Oh, that made it great. I want to go to that hotel. I want that wintry vibe. Okay, it was like focused on Christmas or whatever, but I really didn't mind it because it made absolutely sense and it was beautifully done. It wasn't like a sick Christmas, you know, when it's too much Christmas and you're just sick of it. It was beautifully done, and the covers are just gorgeous. Like the end pages, the books. I got book 2 and 3. I cannot wait to read them. They're gonna be read this Saturday or whatever, but beautifully done. So basically you have that girl who lives with her aunt and uncle, and one day she comes back at home and she sees a letter and a bag being like, oh, we're going on holiday, you're going to that hotel for the next like upcoming weeks or whatever, because we don't want to be with you. And she's just like, what the heck, it's gonna be Christmas, man, I'm gonna be alone and I'm gonna go to a random hotel or whatever. And she goes there and weird things are actually happening, and it has so many throws that I actually really enjoyed. The magic in it is really like, it's a detail, it's not the main thing of the book, but it's magical even if it's not about magic, you know what I mean? So it was beautiful. So many people read it, so many people loved it, and there is a reason why. Like seriously, just give it a try, especially now with the wintry kind of vibe, etc. It's beautiful, it's absolutely beautiful. I would recommend it to so many people. And the last book I have read is actually Where the Drowned Girls Go. So the last book in a way was children's series. I wanted to say thank you to Tor for sending me the e-art of that book. I enjoyed it. It's so different from the other books because it focuses on the other school we know about, we heard about, the school that has a very different concept on how to deal with the kids that came back from those worlds. It's really not a school I would like to go to, but it also answers a few questions that I feel we got reading, in particular one book, but also it answers other questions, etc, etc. It has also good representation, it talks about mental health, and can I say more? Beautiful writing style, beautiful everything. It is portal fantasy, my favorite subgenre. It is from my favorite series ever. It is written by Shannon Maguire. It is beautiful. I cannot wait for everyone to actually read it in January. It is just powerful. Like such a short story, but so much power into it. It's just like perfection for me. And this one was way darker than the others, but I think it was a very important book in the series. So that's in short. I don't know when I'm gonna upload this, but there is a vlog coming about me reading that book. So it's gonna be spoiler free, so if you want to watch it to just see my reactions and my comments, keep your eyes open. But yeah, well, that's it for now. These are all the books that I have read in November, which is just wild. Let me tell you that December has not started in the best way. I have already read 5 books, but none of them were from my TBR. So we shall see. But yeah, let me know what you have read in November, your favorite book, your least favorite book, or a book you did not finish but that you would like to get to at some point. Well, thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to be a part of the pack. Talk to me in the comment section as usual. And until next time, take care, wolves. Bye.